Hello there, this is Sam of the VictorPrep Vocab podcast, and this one has been a long time coming, and I feel almost a little bad now recording it so late, a month after the last podcast, and all I can say is that this podcast is for free, right? I don't get paid for it. And I have a job that often requires me put a lot of extra hours in and travel. So I was recently in Asia on a business trip and then came back from Asia and I had a lot of work to do and worked some late nights and worked some all-nighters, in fact, at my job. So there's not a lot I can do about that. And I do feel bad because there were a lot of people emailing me saying, "Hey, Sam, where's the next podcast?" And I feel bad, right? So, yeah, I'm sorry about that. Obviously, the podcast is not my job. It's something I do for fun and because I enjoy it, because I want to help people. But at the same time, I do have an actual job, right? So I can't always do the amount of podcasts I might want to do. So I am really sorry about that. But please understand that, like I say, it isn't something that gives me any money and, obviously I have an actual job I need to, work at. So anyway, going over the previous episode's words, that's episode 24, those words were precipitate, that is to cause an event to happen suddenly, usually something that is bad or undesirable. Also means to hasten the occurrence of something, or to bring about something in a sudden or swift way. Eerie, that's a noun that means a large nest of a bird of prey. Could also mean a building or something built high up on something else, like a cliff or a penthouse on top of a building. Ambivalence, that is the state of having mixed feelings about something, or contradictory ideas about something or someone. And the final word was gamble. Gamble means to run or jump about playfully, like a lamb in a field. So, let's get started with our 4 new words. The first word is Knell. Knell. That's Knell. Knell. Now, this word is a noun, and it means the sound of a bell ringing slowly. Now, knell is usually associated with death. So, often when there's a funeral, there's a bell rung. And it's rung usually slowly or solemnly, and that is often called a death knell. That is, the sound of a bell being rung to announce a death. Knell also means, in general, a sound or some sign announcing the death of a person or the end of something or a failure of something. Some synonyms are toll, tolling, gong, resounding, reverberation. In fact, I would probably say with the word knell, it's going to be quite rare that you see that word being used without the word death. So you'll often hear something like, this new thing is the death knell for an old thing. Like, CDs were the death knell for the radio, or something like that. Meaning that CDs coming around rung the bell for the end of radio, for example. Kind of a silly example, but sort of works. Our second word is palatial. Palatial. It's spelled P-A-L-A-T-I-A-L, palatial. It's an adjective. Palatial sounds very much like palace, and that's kind of what it means, because palatial means resembling a palace, or looking like a palace, or like a palace. So, if you have a palatial house, your house is huge, it's full of fancy things, beautiful decorations. People who see it are going to go, wow, you've got an amazing house, right? So, yeah, palatial, like a palace. If you know someone who's mega rich, or you've been to a city and seen Buckingham Palace or some house where the royal family lives for that country or where the president lives, it could probably be described as being palatial. Some synonyms are luxurious, deluxe, magnificent, sumptuous, splendid, grand, opulent, lavish, stately, or regal. So I think palatial is actually a really easy one to remember. Just think palace. It starts off with the same four letters, and it means the same thing, palatial. And we should all aspire to live in a palatial house, I suppose. Our third word is lethargic. Lethargic. That is spelled L-E-T-H-A-R, lethar, G-I-C, lethargic. It's an adjective. And lethargic means tired. It means drowsy or sluggish or slow. It could also mean lacking energy or enthusiasm. Now, because we're human, because we're all regular folk, regular people, we've all been tired sometimes. We've all gotten up in the morning and thought, oh no, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to go to school, I want to lay in bed. I need at least 3 hours more sleep. That is being lethargic. It's being drowsy. It can happen in the afternoon often when you just need to take that nap. You've had lunch, you've had a big lunch, and you're feeling super tired. You're filled with lethargy. That is the noun, by the way, associated with lethargic. Lethargic is an adjective. It means affected with lethargy. Lethargy is the noun form. Some synonyms are sluggish, inactivity, inaction, slowness, lifelessness, listlessness, languor, laziness, indolence, sloth, apathy, passivity, tiredness, or lassitude. Our fourth word is oscillate. Oscillate. It's spelled O-S-C-I-L-L-A-T-E. Oscillate. It's a verb, and it means to move or swing back and forth, like a pendulum, or a swing, or a seesaw. Something that moves back and forth between two positions is oscillating. However, it also has the other meaning, which is probably the more interesting meaning, which is usually for someone to swing or vary between different opinions or different beliefs or conditions. So you might know someone who one week loves Kanye West and the next week hates Kanye West, and they're always oscillating between different opinions. That is to oscillate, to move between different opinions or beliefs. And that's kind of normal for people to do. Often we believe one thing, and then later on we believe something else. Or we like one thing, and then we don't like it. We are oscillating between different opinions. Some synonyms of oscillate are waver, swing, fluctuate, alternate, seesaw, yo-yo, sway, vacillate, waffle, hover, or wobble. Now I'm going to quickly test you on the 4 words for today. The first one was knell. Knell. Do you remember what that one means? So knell means the sound of a bell, especially when rung solemnly for a death or funeral, or it's a sound or sign announcing the death of a person or the end of something. Palatial. Palatial. That means resembling a palace, or something like a palace. It's magnificent, it's luxurious. Lethargic. Lethargic. That means related to lethargy, to be drowsy, sluggish, tired, or lacking energy. Oscillate. Oscillate. That means to vary or swing or move between different opinions or beliefs. It also can mean something physically moving back and forth like a pendulum. Now let's move on to our test sentences. These are 4 sentences that refer to the words from today, but don't use the words. So listen to the sentences and then think about which word I'm referring to. The Queen of England is often found at Buckingham Palace, a grand and opulent residence. After travelling across many time zones, I suffer from extreme jet lag. I feel tired and lazy for about a week before recovering. I was torn between visiting India and Japan. I couldn't make up my mind. One day I would be certain about going to India, and the next I would change my decision to Japan. I heard a mournful and solemn-sounding bell ringing out across the city, and I wondered what it signified. So, ladies and gentlemen, those were our 4 words for today. Once again, I'd like to say I am sorry that this podcast was so long in coming. My schedule has been quite busy and has had a lot of travel and other difficulties recently, and I do apologize. I know some of you have been quite eagerly awaiting a new podcast, and probably some of you are studying for tests and so on, so you definitely want more material to study from, and I understand that, and I will endeavour to be better about recording more podcasts sooner in the future. But like I say, it sometimes has to take a back seat to life, as it were. So, yeah. Thanks, everyone. You can email me at sam.fold@gmail.com, as always. That's my name, Sam Fold. And sure, do a search on Facebook for the VictorPrep podcast. I think if you just search for VictorPrep, you should find it. And like the page. And if you could find time to write a review or put a rating on the iTunes store page for the podcast, that would also be incredibly appreciated. Once again, thank you so much for listening and being patient with me, despite the huge gap in podcasts there. I am sorry about that. Okay, thanks guys, bye-bye.